I was basically sitting at my place. It was like the typical German cloudy weather and raining. And I asked myself, okay, like why do I still live in Berlin? I don't know, I was just thinking about it. I didn't have a good answer why I'm still staying there.
Okay, so you made the decision.
No, well, so in terms of important decisions, I use like a lot of decision-making frameworks.
Yeah, okay.
Because if you just rely on gut feeling, it's kind of risky.
Okay.
And it's an important decision where you live. It's not like something where you should just do like an impulse decision right away. At least like not how I approached it.
Yeah, okay.
This is the Back to Bulgaria podcast. Discover life in Bulgaria, one story at a time.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Bulgaria, the podcast where we share experience and information about what it's like to move and live in Bulgaria, really thrive here, build businesses, and make a difference despite the negative press that is given in the media. Today, we're here with Stoyan Vlahovski, the CEO of Ecom to Win, the business to increase your ecom store revenue by 20 to 40% through email marketing. And he is somebody that has lived abroad in Germany for about 5 years and lived there, studied there, started his business there, and ultimately decided to come back and live in Bulgaria. So today we're going to get to hear about his story, his experience, and really dive deep into what made him want to live here. I'm super excited to be talking with Theon. I think that it's really cool that he is the first person that is on our podcast because he's one of the first people that I pitched Zavrshny. A little more than a year ago, I decided to go to an entrepreneurship hangout, and so did Stoyan. And actually, that was like one of the first ones that there had been in a long time. So everybody was pitching all of their ideas and all of their
just right after COVID.
After COVID, So there I decided, why not pitch Zavrshny, see what people think about it. And yes, Stoyan is one of the first people that I told about it and that was interested actually in being part. So
yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that everything lined up for you to be the first on our podcast. And I think it's really cool that you were somebody that was actually born and raised in Bulgaria. And then you decided to go abroad to live and study in Germany.
Mm-hmm. Yep, in
and
Berlin.
Then eventually you came back. So tell us a little bit about what led up to you maybe making the decision to go to Germany, what happened there, and how you developed life there.
So, yeah, basically like I'm born and raised in a small town right in the center of Bulgaria.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up, like my childhood was really, really good. And then around 16, 17, I kind of fell in love with business in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really passionate about it. Basically from the first business book I read, I was totally into it, like no doubt at all. So I wanted to build like a really, really big company. And obviously like when you're 16, 17, 18, you're not so wise.
Okay.
Maybe I'm still not.
But anyway, with time.
Anyway, so I wanted to build like a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
And I was around 11th grade. So I just Googled, richest people in Bulgaria, biggest companies. At that time, like around 8 years ago or something, like the biggest one was around 800 million or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, not big enough.
Not big enough.
So I decided, okay, let me try in a bigger market, like with a bigger population.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously in Europe, like Germany is like the biggest country in terms of population. It's like 80 million or something.
Yeah.
Close to 80 million. And yeah, so I just decided to give it a try from that point of view. So I decided to move and go technically study there in reality more because of like the startup space and business in general.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a big fan of universities.
Yeah.
just because like for me, I knew that like I won't have my own business. So in my case, like a degree wouldn't really be that helpful, like the document itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about like knowledge, what you can do, skills, etc.
Building a network.
Yeah, like a lot of different things, but not a degree.
Mm-hmm.
But like going to university was just like a nice way to start there, because basically, like when you move to a new country, obviously you don't know anybody.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
just like a nice way to build also like a social
Yeah,
circle in the
being in
beginning.
university really opens you up to other
Yeah, like
internationals.
it makes the transition easier compared to if you're not at university.
Yeah, so you were in Berlin, right?
Yeah, in Berlin. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I moved there like September 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like in the beginning, it was quite different in terms of what I expected.
Yeah. What did you expect going over there?
Well, I
first?
expected like old German people who don't speak English.
Okay.
But Berlin is like super international.
Yeah.
So it turned out I didn't even need German to live there. Like I
Mhm.
started studying in the beginning, but at some point I just realized, okay, I don't really need German.
Mm-hmm.
Like not for work, not for friends, not for nothing.
Yeah.
So like English was enough. So that was like a
So,
benefit.
so you went there not knowing German yet,
No,
or a
like
little bit?
just a little bit. But if you know German a little bit, it's like not knowing it at all.
Yeah. Okay.
Like it's difficult to understand it unless you know it like B2, C1 level. It's difficult. And also like when there's a native speaker
Yeah, I can't
talking
even
fast in German.
imagine
Yeah,
trying to understand.
yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Like you get used to it at some point, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So how did all that happen? Did you have a culture shock going there? Did it live up to your expectations of the opportunities surrounding everything that you wanted?
Well, like with every big change, I guess there were like pros and cons.
Mhm.
So let's start with the pros. Like I didn't really have a culture shock that much.
Okay.
Purely
It's
because
Europe.
like it's Europe, but also like when you go to university, like everybody you know, it's like kind of your age, and
Yeah.
now like with social media and everything,
Yeah, it's an
like
easier way to get
yeah,
into
it's
society.
it's not such a big difference between like the different countries in terms of culture. At least in Europe, like I don't know, like I haven't been to other places, but at least in Europe, it's not a huge difference. So
Mhm.
from a culture shock point of view, yeah, like there are differences in terms of like the different nationalities and stuff, but not huge.
Yeah, you
So
could get used to it
yeah,
within the
definitely.
university scope.
Yep, yeah, definitely. So that wasn't a big shock. Like obviously now if you go to like a different age group, let's say 45 plus, like they don't know English. It's like the typical
Depends on who
German
you're
people.
interacting with, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. So with them it's like a bigger culture shock.
Yeah, but in general, you were surrounded with the university students
Yeah.
going to lectures.
Yeah, and in general, I mean, I expect it's going to be difficult. So just purely from a mindset point of view, when you don't expect it's going to be easy, like you can't really get disappointed that much.
Starting with low expectations.
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that was the good thing about moving there.
Mhm.
Now in terms of the other aspects, like it didn't live to my expectations in a number of ways.
Yeah. Okay.
So like as you said, I grew up in Bulgaria. So here, if you watch the news, like they say, "Oh, Germany is great, Germany is perfect." Like it's
Yeah.
always Germany is the best, Bulgaria is bad, or
Yeah.
something.
In general, talking of anything about the West is always
Yeah.
great in the news.
In reality, when you go there, you realize, okay, like that was not true. Like there are also a lot of bad stuff there, which they don't really say here, and you only realize them when you go there.
Yeah, and then you look back and you're like, oh.
Yeah. And then you're like, okay, yeah, that wasn't as I expected.
Yeah, so what were some things that weren't up to the things that you were expecting?
Well, okay, so for example, specifically in Germany, but also around Berlin, like the internet is really bad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's terrible. Like even in a lot of places around Berlin, like they don't even have internet. So it's like slow, it's expensive, it always breaks. Like let's say you might not have internet for a whole day or like several days, which
It's
here
not great.
yeah, here it never happens. I mean, you always have internet, it's fast, it's cheap, like no problem at all from that point of view.
That's true.
Also, like everybody says in the West, everything is super clean on the streets and stuff like that. At least in Berlin, like not the case at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big city, of course.
Well, not only. So, for example, they don't have homeless dogs and cats there, but because of that, it's like full of rats everywhere.
Yes, okay.
So, for example, like one time I was crossing the street and like a rat hit my shoe.
Oh
It was running to
no.
cross the street, and I'm like with my headphones, just like looking ahead,
Yeah, yeah.
and something just hits me on the leg, and I look down. It's like a huge rat.
This is the Berlin experience, I guess.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like a lot of, and also a lot other things, of course.
Yeah.
So yeah, like unless you go there, it's not as they advertise it in a way.
I mean, this is the marketing
Kind of,
way of
yeah.
marketing, right?
Kind of, yeah.
But I think that overall, though, with your studies and with the way that you actually started a business there, right? Your agency. You want to
Oh.
tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So in terms of the agency, it's actually, I mean, it's completely remote.
Mhm.
So everybody in the team, like we're currently 11, 12 people. Everybody works remotely. All our clients are from different countries. Like I've never seen a client of mine in real life.
Oh, yeah. That's
So
the power of the internet and of technology,
yeah.
especially since COVID.
So in terms of the agency itself, I wouldn't say like the country had any impact on it.
Mhm.
I mean, whether I was based in Germany or Bulgaria or like any other country, it would have been pretty much the same in
Mhm.
terms of like starting the business because it's completely digital.
Okay.
And it's more about finding the right mentors who can like teach you how to do it in the right way.
Yeah.
Because if you just work but you're not moving in the right direction, if you're following like a wrong strategy, even if you're consistent for years, like nothing is going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's very important. Because I have friends of mine. Let's say they've been trying to start a business or trying different things for like 3-4 years, and 3-4 years later they're still kind of in the same place, and it's not because like they worked less.
Yeah.
They just didn't have the guidance on what to work on and what not to do.
Mm-hmm. So
That's really important.
where did you end up finding like the right mentors? Like, was it dependent on that you were in Germany? Was it again online?
Well, like I've had different mentors.
Mhm.
So for some of them, it was dependent that I was based in Germany at that time. For some, not. So I guess like my first real mentor, I actually found him from an app. It's like Tinder for business contacts.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's called Shaper, I think. Anyways, like there you can say, okay, you have the option to say looking for co-founders, looking for a mentor, or looking
Mhm.
to mentor somebody.
Yeah. Okay.
So there I found like an old guy from the UK, like he was 65 or something, like multimillionaire, a lot of businesses and stuff, and
Mhm.
he was just looking to mentor somebody.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
So I found him from there. I wasn't very optimistic about it because I just decided to give it a try, like the app, but it actually ended up pretty useful for me. Because like before, that was I guess end of 2018.
Mhm.
So before I met him, I had tried different things, like not an actual real business, but just like researching different ideas, trying different stuff. But I was just like changing what I'm doing like every few months.
Okay. Yeah.
And he said like successful people start a business and make it work, not vice versa, because like a lot of people are looking for like the perfect business idea to start and it just clicks right away.
Yeah.
In reality, that almost never happens. So in reality, you just have to start a business and then you have to solve the problems one by one and make it work.
Make it work. Yeah. And be
And
consistent.
yeah, and he did really help me realize that. I know it sounds simple, but at the time I wasn't really viewing it in that way.
Yeah. It takes somebody to
Yeah,
show you.
So he did help me to be more
That's great.
consistent, to pick a direction. Like I found another mentor from Fiverr actually. He was just giving. So before the agency, I did affiliate marketing.
Mhm.
He was giving consultations about affiliate marketing. I just had a call with him. The first call was super good, super useful. So I stayed in contact with him. And then, so in terms of like one program which I used for the agency when I was starting it, I learned about it from a friend who I met in Berlin. Like
Mhm.
we met in real life. He joined the program. He had good results. Another friend of mine had good results as well. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, let me
So
give
you
it a
took from
try.
their experience. It's great.
Yeah. So that one was based on the fact that I was living there and I met somebody.
Yeah.
But
But then how did you go from, studying in Berlin, you graduated, did you decide did you know from the beginning that you would be coming back to Bulgaria, or did you decide later on, once you had developed a bit of the agency, developed your business? How did you make the decision to come back?
Well, it was kind of so I hadn't decided from the beginning where I'm going to be. Like when I moved there, I hadn't made a decision if I'm going to live there my whole life or come back or move to a third country.
Yeah.
In the beginning, you just like go there, you get used to it for like 1-2 years. And in my case, it was like end of 2020, like the second lockdown of COVID.
Yeah.
Like there, you couldn't go out at all. Like in Bulgaria, it was more relaxed in terms of measures, but there it was just like stay at home and that's it.
Yeah, this is the experience of actually quite a few people that I know that have come back. They came around COVID and...
Well, like I was basically sitting at my place. It was like the typical German cloudy weather and raining. And I asked myself, okay, like why do I still live in Berlin? I don't know, just thinking about it. I didn't have a good answer why I'm still staying there. Because like the original reasons why I went there, like I mean, they weren't true in a way. Meeting people, I mean, you meet people there, but everybody just moves in and out all the time.
Yeah.
And in terms of like all kinds of connections and everything, it's like all digital nowadays. It's
you
all
can
online. It
have
doesn't
them
matter if
online.
you're based in Berlin, in Bulgaria, in New York, or in Bali, or like wherever.
Yeah, that's a great thing about the global world right now. You can make friends and have them always.
Yeah. So from that point of view, it didn't make sense to live there. And also from many other points of view. So I realized, okay, like I probably don't want to live here, or at least like I'm not sure I want to live in Berlin anymore.
Okay, so you made the decision.
No, well, so in terms of important decisions, I use like a lot of decision-making frameworks.
Yeah, okay.
Because if you just rely on gut feeling, it's kind of risky.
Okay.
And it's an important decision where you live. It's not like something where you should just do like an impulse decision right away. At least like not how I approached it.
Yeah, okay.
So I use like a few different decision-making frameworks in a way. The most sophisticated one, it uses like different criteria. So for example, you write down 10 or 11 different criteria in terms of where you live, like what's important
what you want for yourself. Okay.
Let's say weather, cost of living, food, people, like all kinds of things you can imagine.
Okay. And Berlin didn't check off.
No, it didn't. Like I actually compared Berlin, Sofia, Barcelona, Warsaw, and one other city. I'm not sure which was the fifth one. So I gave points to all of the cities in the different criteria. This
is a very systematic way.
It is. It even has like weights and multipliers and stuff. Like I'm not going to get into details.
Okay. But at the end, Sofia won?
Sofia won, yeah.
Wow.
So the number showed Sofia, and I was like, okay, I'm moving to Sofia.
What were some things that stood out about Sofia that made you want to, that made it check off? Or in Bulgaria in general? Like, what were you looking forward to in coming here?
Well, I don't remember everything because it was like 2 years ago almost.
Okay, yeah.
But like some things, so obviously the weather here is way better than Berlin, Germany, like Western Europe in general, like Netherlands as well, etc. Also, the cost of living is lower. Internet is way better, which is super important for me. Like
in your business?
In my business as well. Also, in terms of people, so there, like something which I didn't like about Berlin at all, people move in and out all the time. I think there was some stat. So in the two biggest neighborhoods in Berlin, the population changed twice completely for like 15 years.
Okay.
So like there you meet somebody, they move out, meet somebody, move out. It's like super annoying.
Okay. Yeah.
So like also in terms of like the people point of view, Sofia won. Food, it's also better than like schnitzel and stuff like that. Like the
in Germany.
Yeah. And also other criteria which I don't remember by heart. But based on all the different criteria, like Sofia won, and I decided to move here. And there's also like other ways I used to decide to move here. Like obviously you can ask yourself what you're going to regret more. So let's say
at the end of it,
if I stay in Berlin and it fails, or if I move to Bulgaria and it fails, which option I'm going to regret more?
Okay.
And then I realized, okay, if I don't move to Sofia, I'm going to regret it more compared to staying there.
So what was in Sofia? What were you looking forward to happening once you moved here that would be better in general, other than like the practical things that you listed? What were you looking forward to happening here for you?
Well, a lot of different things. So I guess it's like, yeah, it's not the typical thing for most people, but I hate cooking. So uh, in Germany, like there are not a lot of good services in terms of like meal prep, where they just cook something healthy, bring it to your place. I mean, they have some services, but they're just not good in general.
Yeah, okay.
Expensive, not good. Yeah.
But you found some here.
Oh yeah, it's epic. Like ever since I came back, I haven't cooked even once. Not even joking. So like that's epic from that point of view. Also, the services here are way better.
Okay.
Because in Germany, for example, for a lot of services, it's not that good because it's like, I don't know, like people are just not really focused on the service that much. I don't know why, like I can't explain it. Maybe it has something to do with wages or like bureaucracy or other stuff. I don't know. But in terms of like service-based businesses.
That's interesting because a lot of people say that service in Bulgaria and in Sofia sucks, but you're saying something else.
No, like I'm not talking about like going to a restaurant and the waitress, and like I'm talking in general. Yeah. So that was also something I was looking forward to.
Yeah, and I think that this is something that a lot of people are actually surprised about. Yes, there is, people that are just not having a great day.
Well, it's like that everywhere.
Yeah, it's like that everywhere. Yeah. But I'd say that I've been pleasantly surprised by the service. In not like in restaurants, but with even with banks and financial stuff, everything that I've had to do coming here, I've been pretty surprised about the good service I received and the help.
Same. And also obviously like reconnecting with my family, like when I'm moving back.
Yeah, this is a big point for a lot of people coming.
Yeah, it's much easier to stay in touch with them when you live here.
Yeah, of
compared
course.
to flying just for Christmas, Easter, and let's say in the summer.
Yeah.
So like that was another thing which I looked forward to, and also other aspects, of course.
Yeah. So, is there anything that when you were coming here, like when you made the decision, that you wish you knew before actually taking the step? Any advice or anything that you wish somebody had told you about?
Oh, in my case, to be honest, it was easier than I expected.
Okay.
Like my biggest concern was purely, I'm not from Sofia originally. So like when you're moving to a new city, like you need a new social circle in a way. Like I had a few ex-classmates who lived here, but not a lot of people.
Yeah, so you're concerned about like what social circle you would be around.
I knew I could obviously find people, but I didn't know in terms of like what kind of people I can find, how fast, how many people. Like you don't know. Like it's uncertain in a way. It's like it's like a black box. Everything can come out of it.
Yeah, this uncertainty is pretty common,
Yeah.
When you're moving
but that was like way, way, way easier and better than expected.
That's great.
Yeah, there are a lot of events here where you meet people. Like especially like since I'm interested in business, like how we met on that event as well.
Entrepreneurship night.
Yeah, and also here compared to Berlin again, I feel like it's easier to connect with people in a way.
Yeah.
Like obviously you have like similar cultural background, so that makes it easier. Also, it feels like more like a community here in a way.
Yeah, I'd say that's something I've also noticed about Sofia, that it feels more like a community. It feels like a smaller town than it actually is. It feels like you can walk outside and you could see people that you know, and it feels great,
Yeah, it's like at the same time big and small. Like
Yeah,
1 point something million, 2 million, I don't know.
Almost 2 million people, but you're gonna see somebody that you know and can connect with.
Yeah, and other things which I wish I knew before I moved here. I don't think there's like other major things which, I mean, I did my research.
Yeah, okay.
So
you're
it's
definitely
not like
a person that does your research and
it's like I just don't jump blindly into stuff.
Which is very different from me.
Maybe.
When I moved here, I definitely didn't take so much time to make the decision.
No, I did like proper research.
Yeah.
So I knew everything I could.
Yeah. What do you think that this move has done for you as an impact on your life?
Well, it definitely helped in a number of different areas. So let me divide it into like business, relationships, and health. Like
Yeah.
those are, I guess,
Okay.
the
Okay.
major
That's
areas
good.
of life.
That's a good one.
So in terms of business, it did help a lot. So first, in terms of productivity, I'm way, way, way more productive here
Okay.
because I've outsourced everything I don't want to do in terms of services. So like that's a major benefit. I don't do like any house chores at all.
Okay.
So that saves me a lot of time. I don't go grocery shopping. I don't cook. I don't clean. I just have people who do
You're
it for
living the
me.
life,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
Thriving.
So that helps a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like when you have that more extra time, you can allocate it to business, for example, which helps you to grow.
Yeah.
Also, in terms of business, here it's much easier to reach like the top level people in terms of like the business community.
Yeah, this is something that I've also noticed, and that me and Katya have been talking about, how somehow it's easier to just connect with people that, let's say, have made it or that
Mm.
have some experience than anywhere else that I've been before.
Yeah, I also have like the same impression.
Yeah.
So I met actually like the guy who originally started me in the marketing space. End of 2015, I saw like a free ebook online.
Yeah.
I downloaded it. It was like 9 steps for success in online business or something like that. He was a Bulgarian guy, and now we're in the same mastermind and like we hang out regularly together.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
like super cool.
Okay.
And also like meeting those people and learning from them also helps to grow your business.
So you've been able to
And
make those connections here
yeah,
in
yeah,
Bulgaria.
yeah,
Like,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So that helped a lot. And also like the obvious thing, which is here your living expenses are way lower compared to like Western Europe.
mm-hmm.
So like that extra money, you can use it to reinvest it in your business, for example. So from the business point of view, it helped a ton.
Yeah.
And I'm not even mentioning the taxes, which are way lower.
This is true. This is also a big reason that people come back to develop their businesses.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
In terms of relationships, as I said, like I've met like another benefit about moving to a new place. You can kind of start your whole network from zero, which allows you to be a lot more selective. Because let's say if you start at university or like high school, yeah, you do decide like who are your friends and who not, but you're kind of like randomly allocated in the same class or same group.
Yeah.
Whereas if you move to a new place, which is not related to your like university or school, you start from zero and you're like, you can be super selective, like who is in your circle and who not.
Mm-hmm.
And now, yeah, like have a lot of friends I've met, and we have like a lot of mutual interests.
Yeah, you can kind of create your circle and people, surround yourself with people that help each other to learn, to develop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True. So yeah, from a relationships point of view, it helped a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously like also relationships with family as well, like that's obvious. I see
How
them.
often, like, do you get to go see them more often?
Well,
I know
yeah.
you go back and forth.
Yeah, like my hometown is not that far away. It's just like 2 hours away from Sofia, and it's just like the highway, so it's not like difficult to go there.
Yeah.
So
what is your hometown actually? Like,
it's called Troyan. It's
Okay.
like 20,000 people in terms of population. And it's like a nice town in the mountains, exactly. Like right next to the forest, great air, great nature. Yeah, it's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's one of the most beautiful places in Stara Planina, in the Balkan mountain range.
Yeah, for sure. And I go there like once every 2-3 weeks, I guess, or something.
Yeah, this is great to be able to go back and see your family, see your friends there, and escape from the city. This is something that I actually experience quite often. It's a great city, but you want to escape, and I feel like Bulgaria has so much opportunities to do that, like so close by. The mountains.
Yeah, it's easy.
Like, right in the city.
Yeah, like the mountain. Oh, I love going to Vitosha as well. Mm-hmm. Which brings me to the health part in terms of like moving back.
Yeah.
So it's like way easier to go out in nature.
Uh-huh.
Like especially compared to Berlin, it's just like a huge city and nothing around it. Like no mountains, no nothing.
Yeah.
No seaside, nothing. Here, like the mountain is right next to Sofia, so just like half an hour away with a car, so you can go hiking. Also, I eat much healthier because I don't have to cook myself, so that helps as well. So, and also like in terms of healthcare, I know a lot of people don't expect it, but I also feel like in a lot of ways it's better here
Wow. Okay.
because maybe it changed a bit like the last 1-2 years, but before that in Germany, if you needed like a doctor who is a specialist in something, you had to wait a lot. So for example, a friend of mine, he had some kind of like skin injury, skin infection, I don't know, on his head. He called a bunch of doctors who specialize, I think it's like dermatologist or
Yeah,
yeah,
dermatologist.
yeah, exactly. So he called a bunch, and like the only one who had a free appointment was like 2 months ahead.
Oh my gosh. So
And like
to
obviously if you
wait.
have like a serious injury, you can't wait 2 months.
Absolutely
And
not.
here
Yeah.
you can go like from today for tomorrow, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I think there is still the something in between because it
Well,
depends
yeah,
on also if you're able to find the right people and get in contact with them.
true
Sure.
that as well. Yeah.
But I would agree that it, compared to the States especially, it is much easier to get medical help and advice and consultation, and much cheaper, of course, too. I don't
And
know how in Germany it is,
no,
but
it's not cheap, but I mean, if you have health insurance, but the health insurance is like, let's say 200-300 euros a month. If you calculate it for a whole year, that's like 3,000-4,000 euros per year. And unless you have like every year some kind of serious injury, even if you don't have a health insurance, you wouldn't spend that much.
yeah.
So it's kind of cheap, but not cheap at the same time.
It's cheap compared to the States, but really expensive compared to Bulgaria.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's a nice way to say it. Yeah.
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 Somewhere in the middle, but of course, yeah. This is something that I'm actually also first diving into with healthcare because I've had scary experiences in Bulgaria, but also really great experiences. And I think it's a matter of just knowing your way around, maybe. This is my
Well,
opinion.
finding the right people, let's put it like that.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah. This is like, we're not going to lie. There's definitely corruption in the mix of healthcare, and there's definitely a few difficulties. But at the end of the day, I think that, especially in Sofia, access to it is.
Not only. So for example, okay, like obviously there is corruption in terms of like how the money is allocated, but then even like with the private medical clinics, you can still get like solid healthcare at a reasonable price compared to Western Europe.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So it's
private clinics have actually surprised me with how nice they are.
well, they're super nice because like you're like it's a business. I mean, you're a client of theirs. You pay them good money to be there compared like to the local standards. So they treat you well, of course.
Yeah.
And even like outside of Sofia, you can get like great treatment as well in different places.
Yeah. So we've talked about how you came back. You've been here for almost as long as me.
Yeah.
A year and 7 months? How long?
I don't want to calculate it, but yeah, kind of. Yeah. Yeah. 1 year and 7 months. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, you say it's been good. You've developed relationships. You've developed your business, life, health,
everything.
What do you look forward to, let's say, in the next 5 years? What do you want to see happen, maybe for yourself or in general in Bulgaria? What do you hope to happen for the future?
Okay, so let me divide it in for myself and for Bulgaria.
Okay, go ahead.
So for myself, like definitely starting a second business besides the agency.
Okay.
In general, like agencies are difficult to scale. I mean, you could scale them, but it's like, yeah, tougher to do. And also in terms of like selling the agency to another business is like a tougher thing to do as well. So starting a second business which is more scalable, it's probably going to be related to like some kind of like products or software or something else, but not a service-based business for sure.
Okay.
So for myself, starting a second business, definitely.
Okay, that's something you look forward to?
Yeah, like definitely in terms of that. In terms of Bulgaria, I do actually want to help more young people come back to Bulgaria in general, because I've seen it from first person. Like you grow up here, you watch the news, they say a lot of stuff, then you move there, you realize like a lot of stuff they said, it's not true.
Yeah, like in your experience.
Yeah, and then you move back and you live like way better than you could live there. And like I feel like a lot of people are in my situation, and also like a lot of people who I knew there, they were kind of on the border. Should they come back? Should they stay? So I want to help like more young people come back to Bulgaria because I think it's like the right decision for them.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like from a lot of points of view.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you want to be able to get the word out like we're doing now,
Yeah.
taking the first step
For sure. Yeah.
to show that it's possible, that it's good, and you're able to get to where you want in life, to develop your business, in your case, develop your social life, and just have a good life.
Yeah, I mean, I can share my experience, my learnings, so that people can also learn from them. Like they don't have to go through the same things or make the same mistakes. So I might start creating some kind of content around the topic myself as well, but let's see. I don't
We
promise.
can make a partnership.
Maybe, yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
Time will show.
Yeah, that would be great. And I think that Bulgaria just needs more people like you, like people who have, yes, gone abroad, seen what it's like. You know, we're born and raised here, but decide to actually come back and invest basically what you learned also from abroad, because you say, you know, you went to university, you met people, you saw what it's like somewhere else, and ultimately you decided it'd be great to be in Bulgaria.
Yeah. I mean, I can't compare the options, and I just know like that's currently the best option for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great to hear. Well, thank you so much, Stoyan. We actually have one more thing that,
and that's it.
Yeah. We have one more thing that we are starting to do, and the idea is to kind of like get some information and some fun from your memories and interests, and that is picking from our bowl of questions.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Earlier we compared it to getting kasmet od banica, which is like a fortune from banica, or a puff pastry with cheese, feta cheese in it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do that.
Okay.
Except for instead of fortunes, it's questions. So
should I draw just one or multiple?
Yeah, just one.
Okay.
Pick just one, and you can go ahead and read it out to us and let us know.
What is your favorite Bulgarian homemade dish and why?
The food.
That's not my topic. Okay, let me think. Yeah, in general, in terms of food, like I've never been a foodie that much. Favorite Bulgarian homemade dish. So I'm not sure how to translate it to English. Пълнени чушки с ориз, like
stuffed peppers.
Stuffed pepper with rice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I guess that's my favorite one. Like my mother cooks it really, really well. And it just also brings a lot of memories from my childhood as well.
Yeah.
So I do love that one a lot. And it's always like consistent in terms of taste.
Yeah.
Because like with other dishes, like sometimes it could be good, sometimes it could be bad, sometimes it's average, but this one's like always the same.
Okay.
At least in her case. I don't know in general.
Yeah, when your mom makes it, obviously it would be the best for you.
So probably that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I think that a lot of people can probably relate when you think of what your mom or grandma or parents made when you were little and connected to your experiences, maybe in Bulgaria, wherever you're from. It just brings back good memories and makes you just want to eat.
It does. And also like from grandmas as well.
Yeah.
And everything. Yeah. And especially like if they love food. Definitely. Definitely. Can't help.
So thank you so much, Theon, for being in our podcast. It was a great pleasure to talk to you and also start you on your mission to help other young people make the decision to come to Bulgaria, to move back to Bulgaria. If you enjoyed listening to our podcast today and want to share this with other people that might want to move back to Bulgaria or are interested in living in Bulgaria, make sure to go ahead and share it with them Stoyan, I wanted to ask you, do you have somebody that you recommend to also come onto this podcast and tell us about their experience?
I do actually have a few people in mind.
Okay, let's start with one. Let's start with one.
Yeah. Like actually, a really good friend of mine is also moving back to Bulgaria really soon. Also from Berlin. Like he's moving back.
Okay.
So he's like one suitable candidate potentially, and also other people I have in mind.
Okay. Well, that's great. We will be interested in hearing from him as well. And we look forward to coming back episode after episode to share people's experience, share about how great it can be to live and move to Bulgaria. So if you want to hear more and you want to maybe even take the first move, make sure to give us a like, follow, and subscribe. Give us some feedback, some reviews, and let us know what you think. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
Thank you.